What's up, you guys? Scott here. So a very popular topic on YouTube and also in the coaching and therapy industry is this thing that we call mindset. Now, throughout various videos that you guys have probably watched, I've talked about my version of mindset, but what I wanted to do in this very special video was give you guys the entire mindset shift, if you will, that changed my life. Now, I don't say that lightly. I'm not saying that just to be clickbaity for this video. I want to show you guys not only my version of what I call mindset, but the things I actually did that took me from a place of being very unsuccessful, basically poor and broke as a therapist and a coach, not being able to run my business and not really feeling like I was worthy of anything, to the point where I am now. Now, the things I'm going to talk about in this video, I can guarantee are going to go against everything you know, everything you think, and also everything you believe in. But I'm not making this video to say the things that you're doing are wrong. I'm not here to criticize your own mindset routine. What I want to do is throw my experience into this and show you my paradigm around mindset and mindset shifting and changing the things that happen internal so you can experience some new things external. I'm not saying you have to believe me. I'm not saying you have to agree with me. All I ask is, if you're going to watch this video, just remain open-minded and make sure you stay to the end of the video because I have some important points I do want to discuss. So without further ado, guys, in this video, let me show you my mindset shift that changed my life. It changed my entire business and my career, and has also been the catalyst to help thousands of my therapy and coaching students running their businesses change things in their lives as well. But like I said, remain open-minded, please, and remain to the end of the video so you can watch those last couple of points. Let's go. All right, so the best place for us to start is here. So if you're not a therapist, you're not a coach, you have no idea about how the mind works or really understand why you have problems, or even curious why problems exist in the first place in your life, I want to give you this quick analogy which will further help my point I want to make later. Now, if you are a therapist or a coach, hopefully you're along the lines of agreeing with this as well. But let me give you a really crystal clear and straight to the point answer. We could spend all day talking about this, but hopefully this analogy will help if you have no understanding of the mind or a coach or a therapist. So let me answer the question, how are problems created? So let me use this analogy. So let's say, for example, we've got little Johnny here walking to school. He's on his way to school. He's focused on walking to school. He's not focused on any danger. He's not thinking that anything bad's going to happen to him. He's got a kilometer to walk to school. Everything's safe. He's in his own mind. He's singing along. He's living his life, whatever he's doing. Out of the blue, a big, scary German Shepherd just like this jumps out, starts barking, and scares little Johnny. So little Johnny's neurology takes off. Instantly, this is where the mind kicks into action. We're talking about the unconscious mind. This is the part of the mind that deals with emotions. It's not dealing with rational things. What its job is doing is to keep you safe. I want to use that analogy, especially for the next slide I have for you as well. Let's just say, for example, the unconscious mind is keeping us safe. It helps us make like the flight or fight split decisions that are either going to keep us in harm's way or get us out of harm's way. So as soon as this dog starts to bark, it scares little Johnny. He instantly pauses, like for a split second, because the mind now has to rationalize what is happening right now. What has transpired? Do I have to fight or do I have to flight? So what the unconscious mind does, quickly makes a decision. Now, you've probably experienced this for yourself. If you've ever been startled or scared, or for lack of better words, let's say you've unfortunately had a car crash. Did you notice just before the car crash happened that your mind went blank? Instantly, you were focused on what was about to happen. You agree, your mind went into, okay, what's going to happen right now? This is the outcome. It's probably going to hurt. This is going to happen. And all of these thoughts probably go inside your mind, but at the same time, your mind is blank. Like you instantly pause and start to freeze up. That's where the unconscious mind starts to take over. Consciously, you can't move. You can't think. The unconscious mind kicks into gear. So this is done without your input. It happens instantly. So little Johnny walking to school. The dog jumps out, startles little Johnny. Instantly, little Johnny's unconscious mind goes into fight or flight. It goes towards safety and instantly makes the decision that dogs are scary. Hopefully you can see where this is going right now. Instantly, the unconscious mind makes a rule, it makes a thought, it makes a pattern instantly without Johnny's input that dogs are scary. Now this happens, Johnny gets scared, he goes to school, he tells people about it, he tells the other kids, he tells the teacher, he's crying, he tells his mother, he starts talking about what is happening, which is actually making the problem worse. It's like cementing in the problem. Every time he thinks about the dog, he thinks about the scenario, he thinks about what could have happened. Emotionally, he's charged from it, he's scared, he's crying. This makes the problem actually worse. So now what happens is, as Johnny is introduced to dogs later, even though we know that not all dogs are scary, it's only a certain few, Johnny instantly goes back into that memory, and now all dogs are scary. As Johnny starts to grow up older and older, what happens? He starts to create a phobia around dogs. So this continues to spiral out of control. Anytime he's introduced to a dog, anything dog related, he sees a dog on TV. He may be in his teenage years. He finds a girlfriend. The girlfriend has a dog. He sees the dog. He goes into that fight or flight thing again without his control. The mindset, all dogs are bad. And now to get Johnny out of this situation, he now says, well, I don't want to be in this relationship. I can't be with you because of X, Y, and Z reasons. He can't remember that it was the dog in the first place. And now from a dog-related issue, now he has relationship issues. So yeah, that's sort of coming together. So my point here is, as Johnny grows up, because he hasn't dealt with the initial thing, the initial problem that not all dogs are bad, because the unconscious mind made that split decision for him, he grows up not being able to be around dogs, anything dog-related, he freaks out, so on and so forth. And as I mentioned before, as Johnny gets older, he now finds a relationship with a girl who has a dog. He can't figure out what's happening in the relationship, why the relationship is going bad, because the dog's there. He hasn't really put those two things together because the unconscious mind is hiding that memory from him about the dog because it's scary and he's not willing to accept it yet. But now he thinks it's a relationship problem. It's something wrong with him. He doesn't have confidence. He can't, be a loving person. And from one problem like this dog barking now starts to create other problems. And I'm going to give you guys a real example of this, just how crazy the mind is. Hopefully that makes sense. A really simple example of how we get phobias. So as you guys know, my background is helping lawyers quit smoking. But what's funny is, without a shadow of a doubt, 10 times out of 10, I never actually helped people quit smoking, which was quite bizarre because I understood this. Okay. If I was to go and help the smoking, what am I doing? I'm fixing what is called a symptom. The smoking has happened because of something that's been underlying. It's an event or a scenario or something that happened in this lawyer's life that led them to smoking. An example of this, to use Johnny's example, if Johnny was to come to me as a therapist and Johnny said, well, I have relationship issues. Every time I get into a relationship, I self-sabotage the relationship. If I try and help Johnny with the relationship or the self-sabotaging, I'm not going to be able to fix the problem. Why? Because I don't know about this. Johnny doesn't remember this and he's not telling me about this. So now I'm fixing the wrong problem. I'm fixing the symptoms. Just remember that, because in the next slide, I'm going to show you exactly why it's extremely hard to fix your own problems without a good therapist or a coach intervening and helping you do that. So little Johnny comes to me self-sabotaging all his relationships, thinking he has relationship issues, but we know that deep down, Johnny actually has a dog issue, a dog phobia, because his girlfriend or his partner has a dog, but that's not being voiced because the unconscious mind is sort of skewing us away from that. So back to my example, never help lawyers quit smoking. So a real life example of this, and this was the case all the time, just sometimes the symptom was different. A lawyer comes in, helps, says, Scott, I'm going to pay you to help me quit smoking. Now, if I was to help them quit smoking, they'd still have this problem, the real problem, because I'm fixing the symptom. So a real example of this is I had one lawyer come in and said, Scott, I want to quit smoking. And it's my job as a therapist to figure out, okay, I know it's not smoking that's the problem, because that's just your best guess. This is the symptom you're presenting to me. Just like weight gain is a symptom, anxiety is a symptom, confidence is a symptom, relationship issue is a symptom. My job as a therapist was to figure out what's going on underneath, what's causing that symptom. So what I normally did, I did what's called a hypnotic intervention, okay? And I'm talking my lawyer through this, trying to figure out where is this real thing? I'm trying to tease out this unconscious stuff that's going inside the head. And after, let's say, 10 or 15 minutes, I found out what was really happening. And here's quite cool. I really love this story. So I found out that the lawyer started smoking once his mother had died. And I thought, interesting. I wonder why that's the case. I investigated it even more. Then I found out, after a little more of a conversation and really knowing what I'm doing as a therapist, I found out that it's not just the mother dying that created the symptom of the smoking. So that wasn't even the real case. By going all the way back, I found out that the lawyer had a broken family. The father left when he was very, very young. He was very, very abusive to the mother and him. And we found out that the only way he felt love was when his mother would kiss him on the cheek before she went to work at nighttime, and she smelt of cigarettes. Isn't that interesting? So what had happened is, now I've got a lawyer saying, I want to quit smoking, but the unconscious mind, knowing that the same thing here where we've kept little Johnny safe from the barking dog, he's saying to me, I want to quit smoking, but the unconscious mind is saying, no, if we quit smoking, you're going to forget the memory of your loving mother. And it's interesting that this lawyer also had relationship issues. They were all tied in together. It's like a web of confusion. So my point here is I wasn't solving the smoking. And if I went to help my client quit smoking, the unconscious mind would have said no, because smoking is attached to the mother who has now passed away. And the only time this lawyer felt love was when the mother kissed him on the cheek at nighttime. See how confusing this is? And she smelled of cigarettes. So what did we go ahead and do? Once we found that out, once he remembered that, and he couldn't remember that, the unconscious mind was just keeping that from him. Once he finally remembered that, full of emotion, it just sort of broke down, all came out. We realized what the real problem was. And then the therapy was basically done. What we actually worked out to do was, in exchange to quitting smoking, what I made him do, because it was a good idea, was he went out and bought the same perfume that his mother would have on her neck. So it was a mixture of the perfume and the cigarettes. And what he did was he bought a bottle of that perfume. He kept it at his house. Every time he felt like a cigarette, he would spray the perfume, which reminded him of his mother. And then over several weeks, the smoking was gone. There was no need for him to smoke. Why? Because in the past, his way of remembering his mother was by the cigarette. So him smoking, he would smell the cigarettes that would remind him of his mother unconsciously. And the unconscious mind was good with this, because that's the way the unconscious mind had put together. Like, the only way you're going to remember your mother is with the smoking. We take away the smoking, you're going to forget about your mother. Okay, this was the rule. This was the action. The unconscious mind, the decision. The unconscious mind made quick decisions and created this idea, this thought inside the mind. So in exchange for the cigarettes, we made the perfume the substitution. Then the unconscious mind thought, okay, well, we don't need the cigarettes anymore because we've got the perfume. That's an even better way to remember your mother, and it's healthier. Bang, cigarettes went away. So guys, hopefully that makes sense, okay? But that's pretty much how our problems are created. And it's the same thing with you guys right now. So what does this have to do with this mindset shift that I made that changed my entire life and also change yours as well? Well, remembering what I talked about here, how the unconscious mind will make a split decision for you. It's either, fight or flight, it's keeping you safe. Let me move on to the next slide and I'll show this, how this shows up exactly in your life too. What does that dog example have to do with you and your problems, and my main point of this video? So here's another description. Remember what I talked about just before of what happens when the mind makes a split decision for you, and its idea is to keep you safe. And how if we go to fix the wrong problem, which is usually the conscious problem that we start to fix, the assumption, the guess, that's why our problems remain. And this is going to tie into maybe why your mindset work is not working, how no matter what you're trying to do to have a better life, improve your health, improve your fitness, improve your finance, even improve your business, why you're basically stuck where you are. So here's another example. So this analogy, we've got the mind right here. We have something called the conscious mind. That's the everyday mind that's normally doing tasks and things like this. We also have the unconscious mind, which is more the emotional mind. And unfortunately, this is where all our problems exist. Remember little Johnny before? Little Johnny would come to me wanting to help his relationship issue, but we know deep down there's some problem unconsciously that he's not remembering or he's not talking about, that if I fix the wrong problem, his problem's going to exist. This is where all your problems exist. Everything that you're struggling with in your life, this is where it exists. But what you're experiencing, just like little Johnny, is the symptom, the guess. So if you're struggling financially, you're struggling in business, you're struggling in relationships, you're going to experience maybe some sort of guess that it's anxiety or it's fear or it's this or it's an abundance block or something like this. But deep down, we have to realize that you're only fixated on the symptom. You're trying to fix the symptom when it comes to your mindset work or trying to help yourself. We've got to realize that all our problems exist down here. And unless you hire a very experienced therapist who understands the mind like this, or you spend years and years and years and years trying to investigate where your problems are, which is almost impossible to do for yourself because your unconscious mind will stop you. It means that you could spend the next couple of years trying to fix a symptom that allows the problem to exist. You're trying to fix the symptom, but never really getting to the root cause of the problem. So the unconscious thing, when you're trying to heal yourself, the unconscious mind will stop you. The unconscious mind keeps this problem unconscious if you're not in a place where you can deal with that problem. It's keeping you safe away from that problem. Just like little Johnny, scared from the dog, the unconscious mind says, well, all dogs are bad. And until you convince the unconscious mind that, hey, that's what it was like when I was a kid. I'm suffering from this symptom, this problem now, and I know without a shadow of a doubt that dogs are not all bad. So a job of a therapist or a coach is to cross-examine almost the unconscious mind and say, hey, that might have been safe for little Johnny back then, but now in his 30s, he's actually in worse pain because of this initial problem. How about we change this thought to something new? So my point here is if the unconscious mind is keeping us safe, makes that split decision for us, it means that every problem you have has been caused from the unconscious mind making a split decision or a rule, an unconscious rule that now you live by. So let's say, for example, you're trying to grow your business just like I was. Here I am trying to grow my business, and all I could assume was, well, I'm not making money, I'm not successful. That means I must not be worthy. But all I was doing was guessing. I'm experiencing a symptom, not making money, not having clients, not being successful. I'm listening to all these gurus and all these experts saying it's about worthiness. It's about abundance blocks. It's about trusting in the universe. It's all these abstract ideas. And while at the time I used to agree with all of that stuff. So I was doing the meditations. I was doing the abundance block work. I was doing the self-hypnosis. I was trying to fix my problem. But what was I doing? I was fixing the symptom. I couldn't figure out why, no matter how much self-hypnosis I was doing, how much meditation, how much writing to the universe and making a letter to the universe, how much stuff. And I did all of it, folks. I cannot tell you the hours per day I put into this and reaped no rewards. And I did this week after week, month after month, year after year. And I only got like a snail's pace closer to my actual goal until I figured this out. Until like, here I am knowing this for my clients, but I'm not applying it to myself. I'm like a walking contradiction at this time. Here I am trying to talk to people about success, and it's all in the unconscious mind. And you got to, use this meditation, do self-hypnosis, but I'm a walking contradiction. I'm telling people to be successful, but I know deep down I'm not successful. I'm telling people how to make money and, unconsciously and all this stuff, but I wasn't working my own life. Because why? I wasn't applying the actual system I actually applied to my therapy clients until I realized, hey, if I'm helping my therapy clients this way with this model of the world, why don't I apply it to myself? So here I am experiencing the symptom of not making money, not having success, being miserable all the time. And my best assumption was, well, it must mean I've got abundance blocks. I have to trust in the universe more. I've got to do this. I've got to learn to love myself. I've got to realize that I am worthy. And all of these abstract ideas, I'm trying to focus on this when what was I missing? The actual problem. Now, because at the time I didn't have money for a therapist, didn't have money for a coach. And I realized that a lot of therapists and coaches weren't trained in this understanding, almost to the point that I was, that even if I went to go see them, they were still trying to fix the symptom for me. And that wasn't the case. I listened to Tony Robbins. I listened to all of the experts talking about this stuff, but not realizing this. They're talking about fixing the symptoms, abundance blocks, and all of this sort of stuff. So your model of the world, your model of the mind works exactly like this, guys. If you're experiencing problems in your life, you're not having the relationship, the money, the success, and you're experiencing the symptoms like fear, I think it's abundance blocks. I'm not worthy enough. I don't deserve it. That is your best guess. You're only guessing. The conscious mind cannot penetrate the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind keeps the real core problem so deep and out of reach to keep you safe. And without the intervention of an incredibly great therapist, coach, NLP practitioner, RTT, or whatever, this therapist, if they're untrained like this, is only going to fix this symptom for you. So guys, when I realized this was the choice. I had the choice when I finally realized this, and that alone was a big breakthrough. Do I continue trying to listen to all these gurus and try and fix the symptom, even though I knew deep down that if I fix the symptom, the problem will never go away? Or do I change the entire way I do things? And what it came down to, my real point for this video is this. You either keep doing the normal mindset stuff you're doing right now, the normal I'm trying to help myself, self-hypnosis, meditations, and realize it's not working, you're not getting any results you're looking for, or you follow my next piece of advice. Now, it's totally up to you. Like I said at the start of the video, you don't have to believe me. You don't have to agree with me, but all I ask is just to pay attention to what I'm about to say and just see this new model, this new way of actually helping yourself and out of your problems. So remember, just a quick recap. Your problems exist unconsciously. And all the mindset work, the conscious work, the unconscious work you're doing right now is only fixing the symptom. If you weren't fixing the symptom, you would have fixed the problem already. But if your problem is existing weeks and weeks, months and months, years and years, it's because you're fixing the wrong thing. But it's not your fault. That's maybe the way you've been trained or what you understand. If all you do is fix the symptom, which is only a guess as to what the problem is, you're going to miss the main problem because you can't get deep enough into the unconscious mind yourself, no matter what the meditation, what the self-hypnosis you do, unless the unconscious mind allows you to. So what is the change? How do we go from this to changing your entire mindset? Well, guys, this is exactly the mindset routine I'm about to show you of what changed my life, my business, my success, my income, my money, and also the overall arch of the success of my entire life. This is exactly what I did. Now, remember at the time, I'm fixing the symptom. I'm experiencing the symptom of not having money, not having clients, and I'm trying to fix that. And here's what I was doing. So it comes to fixing the symptom, or basically just trying to guess what the problem is and fixing the wrong thing. So number one, I was experiencing not making money in my therapy business. There was a point where I made no money, like broke. I was that person. And I guessed that the real problem was I had abundance blocks. I had self-worth issues. I had acceptance of who I am and not loving myself. That's what I thought was the problem. So what did I do? I did the mindset work. I did the self-hypnosis. I did the meditation. Nothing happened. I didn't make any more money. I was actually just spending more time trying to do this stuff. Then I started to feel not confident. And then I assumed that the reason I'm not unconfident is because I wasn't powerful enough as a person. I wasn't worthy. I didn't have what it takes to be successful. So here I am doing the meditations, doing the self-hypnosis, trying to fix this stuff. Then I wasn't having any success at all. Then I thought, well, I'm listening to all these gurus. They're saying in order to be successful, I've got to be grateful for the things I have. But then I realized I didn't have anything, so I had nothing to be grateful for. So I thought I'll work on my gratitude. I'll tell myself I'm ready for success. I'm ready to be a millionaire. So what am I doing? I'm fixing the symptom. I have guessed that I'm experiencing this big turbulent problem in my life. And my best guess is what all the therapists and all the experts are telling me. They're telling me it's abundance blocks. They're telling me it's self-worth. I've got to accept and love myself more. I've got to feel more powerful and worthy. I've got to visualize myself being successful. And while my real problem was here, I'm trying to fix all the things up here. Okay. So what happened? Nothing. Crickets. Now, over time of doing this for years, did it help at all? A little bit. Sure. Enough. It made me feel myself a little bit better. I started to feel a little bit more confident in parts of my life. But what was left? What was left was the real problem that I didn't have. I didn't have control of this, and I wasn't seeing what the real problem was. So here's what I was doing. I was spending hours per day, guys. I assumed again that if I do more of this stuff every day, more than everybody else, I'll be more successful. But all I was doing was spending more time in all the wrong places. I was spending all of my time trying to fix the wrong problem because I didn't investigate what was going unconsciously. So I was spending hours per day trying to fix the guessing of my problem. Not making money, it must mean I've got abundance blocks. So I'm going to listen to all those meditations. And even though over time I felt a little better fixing the guess, okay, I still had no idea how to run a business. And that was the real problem. It wasn't the unconscious problem that made me feel the way I was feeling, but I realized I could never get there myself. So why bother? So here's what I did. I still didn't have an idea how to run a business, had no idea how to get clients. I had no idea how to ask for money, use social media, automate or scale anything, because I thought all my problems were here. And at the same time, I'm fixing all the wrong problems are in here because I know I can't investigate the real problem because it's very hard to be your own therapist. So I was stuck. I was sort of between a rock and a hard place. So here's what I did. I made this decision, and that's what this video is talking about. This was the mindset routine that I created for myself that made the best decision of my life. I stopped all the internal work. Why? I couldn't figure out what the real problem was anyway, because my unconscious mind wouldn't let me. I was trying to fix all the symptoms, which was a waste of time. I'm spending hours and hours per day trying to fix something that didn't exist in the first place. But I also realized all that time spent was time spent away from what the actual problem was, which was I didn't know anything about business, which is all my conscious work. So I stopped all the internal work, which was only a guess as to what to fix anyway, and focus on the conscious outer work because I could control these things. And this is where I focus my actions. So instead of worrying about what's going on in my head, all this, it's abundance blocks, it's self-worth, it's acceptance, which I realized was just a guess anyway. But now I've got all these experts saying this is exactly what it is, but how can they be sure? Because now I've got someone guessing about the problem that I'm guessing I'm having, which gets really, really confusing. If I just stop that, which is a big waste of time anyway, what if I just focus on the things that I can control, like running the business, getting more clients, doing social media, no matter how painful it was, how much fear I had, how much anxiety I had. I knew that if I woke up each day and just applied myself and focused on the things that I could actually focus on and take action on, something must happen, because I'm spending years doing this internal work and nothing's happening. So if I give it up, it's not going to matter anyway. It wasn't working in the first place. No matter how much I did, no matter how much of an expert I became at self-hypnosis and putting myself in a trance and trying to fix the problems I had, I realized nothing was really working. But what if I focus on getting the clients, running the business, automating, scaling? And this is where I put my attention. I literally stopped doing all the mindset work, all the meditation, and I focused only on the internal work. And yes, I felt anxious. I felt scared. I felt fearful. So the way I overcome that was by following this next step. So to substitute all the mindset work I was doing, this is what I focused on. I realized it wasn't that I was lacking internally, I was lacking externally. And I was lacking the things that would actually make me a successful business owner, make me successful in my life, earn money, get clients, and all these sorts of things. I analyzed myself consciously. What was I lacking consciously? And number one, I couldn't focus on anything. My focus was scattered all the time. I had bad concentration and I wasn't very disciplined. Number two, my commitment was fleeting. I would want to commit to something, then I wouldn't, then I would self-sabotage, then I'd commit, then I wouldn't, then I'd self-sabotage. And I noticed that everywhere. I had no tenacity. I was so scared of everything. I was so scared of this failure thing. I didn't want to try anything. I also didn't know how to sacrifice. Anytime an option was presented to me that seemed easier or more fun, I'd go with that. I didn't want to admit that I had no tenacious bone in me to be a business owner, to take action no matter how I felt, to ignore what was going on in my head no matter how I felt, and take action no matter what. And number four, I wasn't focusing on my clients. I wasn't focusing on my students and their results. All I was focusing on was me. That if I clear some abundance block, which is just a guess, it's just a symptom based on some expert who's also guessing as well, that if I fix that, I'm going to be remarkably successful. But it's just not the case. It didn't happen. So I realized consciously, if I wanted to make money, I had to learn these things. I had to learn how to focus. I had to learn how to concentrate. I had to be extremely disciplined. I had to learn how to commit and be tenacious and sacrifice. I had to learn about my product, my service, my result. I had to create something that people actually wanted. And I really had to focus on my clients, students, and their results instead of worrying about myself. And at the point I stopped worrying about myself and stopped consuming all these gurus telling me it's abundance blocks and it's not, enough love in my life, and I've got to pray to the universe. And when I stopped doing all of those things with just a massive guess as to what our real problems are, everything changed. Because those hours and hours a day I spent all on internal work, which is a waste of time anyway, in my eyes, I focused on the places where it really meant something. And these are the things I concentrated on. I did something called exposure therapy. Now, exposure therapy is quite interesting for those who haven't heard it before. You can watch these videos on YouTube, by the way, if you want to go check this out. So what they're finding out now, that one of the quickest ways, and this is an old Milton Erickson trick for those therapists and coaches watching this, you know who I'm talking about, that for his most extreme clients that came in and seen him, he didn't do therapy per se. He didn't even go like to the unconscious to put them in trance. He exposed them to their problem and wouldn't let them leave. He'd expose them to the problem and have them sit there with the problem smack bang in their face and let them deal with all the emotions until the emotions sizzled out. And then over time of exposing them to their problem, like maybe like a spider phobia or a snake phobia, something like that, over time, the emotions would just drain away and then the problem would no longer exist. And I love this idea because it was quick. And it was actually the way that I was trained as a therapist as well. So what I did was I exposed my mind to these things to show that it was safe. Running a business was safe. I had some unconscious thing where maybe my unconscious mind concluded that running a business wasn't safe. Making money wasn't safe. You sort of see where I'm going here. I exposed my mind to the things to show my mind it was safe. It was okay to make money. It was okay to run a business. It was okay to see my clients. And I repeated this every day until it became my new default. So right at the start, whereas I'm scared to do social media, I'm scared to give my price, I'm scared to do anything in the business, I forced myself to do these things. I was scared, literally shaking, sweaty, and scared to even think about doing anything remotely controlling to my business, but I exposed myself to it. And sometimes within just days, things that I dreaded, that I had nightmares about, now became fun. To the point where on the other side of the tangent there, I came to a point where I was doing too much in my business. I exposed myself too much where I found it hard to stop and relax. Not a bad thing to have. But my point here is this. The unconscious mind is always dealing with safe. What is safe for you and what is not? What is fight or flight? So if some unconscious thing happened in your life, an event or scenario happened in your life that is now related to your success in your life, your money, getting clients, and being remotely happy, you can spend years and years trying to fix the problem. But if you have no one to help you intervene with this problem, it means you're probably going to fix the symptom. So you have to be very, 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 very careful of the assumptions you make about your problem. If you're not making money in your business, be very careful that you don't make the assumption that it's some sort of abundance block, which really doesn't exist anyway. Look at the business itself. What's remarkable is I speak to students every single day. Ones that join my program that'll say, Scott, the reason I'm not successful, here's the assumption again, is because I have abundance blocks. And I say, great, how long have you been working on this for? So I've been doing this stuff for 6 months and I'm still not making any money. Interesting. You should realize, it's right in front of you what's going on. Then I go, okay, what are you doing for your marketing? Oh, I'm not doing anything. Have you picked a niche? No, I don't have a niche. Do you have a product or service? No, I don't have that either. What social media are you doing? I'm not doing any of that. But Scott, it's not about that. It's because I have abundance blocks. Quite ironic, isn't it? This is what happens, unfortunately, sometimes with our business. We can run into trying to fix the symptom, trying to fix not the actual problem. It's hard to get to that problem, but spending all of our time trying to fix the symptom. So my point here, be very careful of the assumptions you make as to why you're not successful. And this was the decision I made for myself. I could spend the next couple of years trying to fix this abundance blocks thing, not having enough love in my life, not being aligned to the universe, whatever people are talking about. I could spend all my time trying to fix that, realizing that that's just an assumption I'm making as to why I'm not successful or not getting my goals or not in a good relationship, whatever the thing is that I'm trying to achieve. But what I really have to do is focus on what's right in front of me. How can you run a business if you don't know how to get clients? Market your business, have the right systems, the infrastructure. You can't run a business without these things. But if all your time is spent trying to fix what's internal, you're going to be blinded to what's really happening in your life right in front of you. And this was the massive shift that I made in my life. I stopped doing the internal work. I do none of that stuff whatsoever. I even teach my students to stop doing so much of it because all you're trying to do is just fix the symptom. So instead of trying to fix the symptoms, which doesn't take care of the problem already, hopefully you're still with me, guys, you want to expose yourself to the things that scare you. If it's scary for you to do strategy calls, expose yourself to them. After a couple of calls, you realize, hey, this is quite fun. And what's happening here, when your mind goes from scary to fun, that's the mind making a new link to strategy calls were scary, but now they're fun. Because you've done 3 strategy calls and you didn't die. So it must mean the strategy calls are safe. That's how simplistic the mind can be. Making money was a big one for me as well. The first couple of times I got paid $1,500 to quit smoking. What did I start to think? Oh, that's not for me. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. But it kept happening. And then over time, I started to expect that money. I started to enjoy that money. I didn't go into my internal world for 6 months and try and figure out where this all came from, try and fix it. No, I just exposed myself to making more money. Then over time, my unconscious mind started to agree that, hey, making money is fun. It's safe. You didn't die from it. Let's get more of it. So it's quite easy to change how your mind thinks, especially with this exposure type therapy. So right now, if you're in a business, you're not getting clients, you don't know how to do the marketing, you don't have the systems, and you're scared about doing all these things, my one big piece of advice, stop the internal work, because you're never going to figure it out yourself anyway, unless you hire an extremely good therapist, and they're really expensive as it is. Expose yourself to the things that scare you. Even things like phobias. And I'm not saying do this for yourself. You want to remain really, really careful and safe when you do this. But a lot of great therapists will expose their clients to the snake, the spider, the bad relationship, to expose them to the problem they're having and just allow the emotion to drain itself. The same thing will happen in your business. So guys, hopefully you've stayed with me until this point. Hopefully this made sense. It's quite a big subject to talk about in 15 to 20 minutes. But again, I want to give you my point here, as I've said just a couple of times now. Expose yourself to the things that scare you. This is by far the quickest way to overcome that problem. Stop focusing and trying to fix the symptom of your problem. You're never going to fix it. And without an intervention of a good therapist or coach, you're never going to find out what the real problem is. And my point here, you don't have to. You don't have to figure out where the core of it came from. Another way to change the mind, unconsciously expose it and show that making money is fine. Having a great relationship is fine. Running a business is fine. It's safe. You're not going to die from it. And allow your mind to make those necessary adjustments to be on your side. So guys, this was the mindset shift I made. Like I said at the start, you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to say, that's 100% correct. You don't even have to follow this. But hopefully you you allowed your mind to be open enough to see my point here. And maybe you saw a new paradigm into how the mind actually works. Remember, this is coming from a hypnotherapist. I understand how this works. And I've done testing on this because this is how I changed my life. It's not some abstract strategy that I'm just giving you. I'm not giving you another abundance block meditation, another this or another that. There's enough experts talking about that stuff. But really look at what's happening in your life right now. If you've spent years trying to fix a problem and it still exists, it's because you're probably fixing the symptom. Realize you're never going to get to the core problem by yourself anyway. You may as well just expose yourself to the thing that's scary and overcome it that way. So guys, that's it for this video. Hopefully that made sense and it was enjoyable, something quite a bit different. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.